when I was talking to Professor Bucci about what have y'all been doing in business classes, what is this class really about, that kind of thing, he had asked me to talk about what an entrepreneur feels. I like that word. Not many people use that word. What an entrepreneur feels by applying principles and managing a startup. So I have a couple for you. You've probably heard before, but let's talk about them. You ready? Number one, fear. Absolute fear. No matter how good the business plan is, whether or not it's proven, there is fear. If you don't have fear, I would say you're not taking enough risk. Seriously. So that's one thing that came to mind when he asked me to speak about that. It's just the risk. The risk. And I'm not special. But the steps of risk that I had to take through that, the first risk was when my daughter was 1.5 years old, right? And my spouse was still working. That was an easier decision. But at 42, with 2 children, making a career change, that was scary. Like, that was the impossible. I was like, God, if it's going to happen, it's got to be you, because I can't make it happen. I can't even get in that mindset. I've got this thing. It's going fine. So fear is one. Emotion came to mind. Emotion. So I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs. Matter of fact, the financial practice we have, 75% of our clients are business owners. I just understand that world, right? I speak that language, understand what they're going through. So emotion. Sometimes an entrepreneur doesn't connect the head and heart, and they need to be connected. Sometimes an entrepreneur stays too much in the head. Here's a business plan, we're going to execute, this is why it's going to work, and they're not staying connected heart to head. So having that emotional aspect, whether it's being upset, whether it's being scared, whether it's being happy, it's a roller coaster, and it is exhausting. It is an exhausting roller coaster. I can look at pictures from the last transition I went through from 14 to 15. You look at pictures, I just look tired. I'm just like, I don't even know how I made it. I just look bad. It's emotional, it's exhausting. Which is my third thing, is just being tired. Just being tired. I'm using poor grammar. They get to be less as you get more experienced. But there are many, many evenings that you wake up wide-eyed at midnight thinking about, how am I going to close that deal tomorrow? I have to have that deal. I need that deal to survive. I need to make a hire. I don't know when the right time is. I have $425 in the operating account. That'll keep you awake. That'll keep you awake. And payroll's Friday. There are a lot of those evenings you just get tired. So stamina. And you hear things about staying healthy and all these other, yeah, that's all true, but you got to be ready to be tired. Fear, emotion, exhaustion, grit. What does that word mean to you? Resilience, sticking it out. Did you say tiger?
Tired.
Tired.
Going through the grinder of being tired while still working.
There was an author, she's written a book and done research on this, and she's pretty popular right now, and I cannot remember her name, but if y'all were to look that up. Thank you. Grit. Yeah, and she defines it real well. I would say all of those are correct. Saying no. Saying yes and committing when you have no idea how you're going to get it done. I think they all fall under grit in the ones I've given you before. And I'll tell you, an analogy I have in here is, you guys watch Shark Tank? Have you ever watched Shark? Okay, so Mark Cuban, if you think about the shows you've watched with him, he's looking for the grit. I believe, from me observing that show, that he's not looking at the business model first. He's looking at the business model second. He's looking at the individual grit. And you've heard his story a million times. He tells it a million times. I remember sleeping on the floor with just sheets and no food in the fridge. You know, he tells that story. He wants the grit. A lot of them want the grit because they need to know somebody can go through the grinder time and time again with that resiliency. So those were words that came to my mind as far as feeling when doing a startup, while operating a business. And I thought this was important, and because I do have the mic, I'm allowed to share it with you. Some things that I believe, in my experience, are must-haves when running, starting up, being an entrepreneur, is number one, a supporting spouse. I believe that. I believe the second most important thing, this might be worth the entire class right here, so you want to write this down, is sales experience. I mean, let's just call it what it is. If you don't sell, you don't get. There's nothing. There's no top line. There's no revenue. And if you look at most small businesses, guess small business, what, 29 million in the country? Who's the number one salesperson? That's not a trick question. The business owner is the number one salesperson. That is reality in small business. I'm not saying you can't build a sales team and hire a sales force. We can talk about that. Love to talk to you about that offline. You need to know how to sell. You need to understand communication. You need to understand how humans make decisions. You need to understand process, negotiation. If there's anything you should be doing before you start a business, is learn everything you can on sales. Read every book you can on sales and get some experience. I would say that's number two to me, behind supporting spouse. A couple other ones, these are not in priority order. Understanding how to develop a lead indicator in your business. Somebody tell me what that means to you. Okay. All right, we're kind of on the same page, so let me rephrase. I don't think I asked the question right. So sales and leads, yes, that definitely fits there. So a lead indicator or a lead key performance indicator, let me frame it a little bit different. What's a key performance indicator in your business? Have you started on your business plans yet? Mm-hmm. Okay, what would be a key performance indicator?
Would that be like something that you know, like if this is happening, I'm going to be making money?
Correct. So let's go deeper. Elaborate more on that. Anybody? What's an indicator? What's something you're going to measure? Okay. Oh, I was going to say, man, I don't even know what that means. See, I didn't take these classes. I get clicks per. Okay. So let me give you an easy one. Revenue. Okay? First year. In your business plan, you got a revenue number? Yes? Okay, depending on your fiscal year, your revenue number is a lag indicator. You get to 12/31, assuming that's your fiscal. You don't hit it, you didn't hit it. That's a lag indicator. Let's go back to the beginning of the year and talk about a lead indicator. What is a lead indicator of how you're managing the lag indicator? Let me help you. You want me to help you? You want to keep talking it through?
Total number of customers at the moment?
Maybe. That might be. So if you have more data, okay, so let's make it easy. I talked about how important sales were. Well, you don't hit a revenue number unless you sell something. We got that? Okay, so let's just use even numbers. So let's say you want to do $100,000 your first year of business, whatever your business is, right? We're in December. This is your lag indicator. And the reason I'm writing this is because this is like really important, okay? Your lead indicator has to be some kind of metrics on that $100,000. Could it be average sale? Could that be a lead indicator?
Yes.
Could it be number of sales I need? So what we're doing is y'all need to understand how important lead indicators are in operating, starting a business. Because this is when you don't sleep, when you don't understand these. And if you're not measuring and you get to February, you're like, oh, I still got like 10, 11 months, I can hit that number. Then you get to June, hey, I got 6, 7 months, I can still hit that number. See, this is where this is one of our not defaults, this is one of our problems as entrepreneurs is optimism. Oh, I got it. I got some big deals in the pipeline. They'll close before the end of the year. Yeah, right. Okay, lead indicators, very important. Wanted to share that with you. Communication. How many of you believe you communicate well? Okay, so don't answer this out loud. How do you know? Don't answer it out loud, just think about it. How do you know you communicate well? See, I believe communication in running a business is just vital. One is you're going to have to communicate to customers. You're going to have to communicate to your team. And let me tell you where communication starts. Communication starts with self-awareness. What am I good at? What am I bad at? How to understand or understanding how people want to be communicated to. How to understand them, how to adapt into their world and communicate effectively. I think a lot of us miss how important communication is. And we have our own beliefs, but it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what everybody else thinks around us that we're supposed to be communicating to. So I wanted to share that with you. You got to be nimble. You got to be quick. You got to be willing to change. Anybody in here really, really compliant? Let me go further on that. What do I mean by that? Anybody in here big time rule followers? It's okay. Tell me. Talk to me. Anybody get really upset when somebody cheats on Monopoly or something like that? Any of those in here? Yeah? You compliant? Yeah. So compliant people are slower to change. Be quick, right? So understanding self-awareness, understanding that you don't like that. I love change. I'm like, get up the next morning, we create a new process. Woo, love it. Love change. But you got to be quick and nimble. Professor Bucci opened up with some articles, right? Y'all been in this class, you're seeing it, right? There is no Circuit City left. There is no Blockbuster left. What's the company this morning? Just announced? FYE's closing, right? Malls are going out of business. Remember that consulting gig I told you about? So I got, true story, I got called into the regional Dippin' Dots franchise like in 2006 or something. They asked to go into the stores and do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. So I came out and I sat down with them like, what'd you find? I'm like, I don't know how to say this, but you need to close the stores. There is nobody in the malls. You can't create business. You got to sit and wait for somebody to walk, and no one's walking in the malls. That was in 2006. You know, y'all seen what's happened to retail. You've seen organizations like Amazon, right? You see what happens. You've got to be quick, nimble, and change. Innovate. You've got to be able to keep it up. I'll tell you a true story about the financials practice, the service practice is when we started the business in 2015, this is an old business. I know you have experience in it, right? It's very paper intensive, right? You have to keep a lot of records. And I would walk in 35-year experienced agents. I would walk in their offices and they would just have rows of file cabinets. And I'm like, holy mackerel. So that day, I was like, we will be completely paperless, which doesn't sound normal to y'all, right? Like, it should be paperless anyway. Y'all are in that society. You're in that age group. Let me say it that way. Completely paperless. We can work anywhere at any time, right? Whereas the industry has just been completely bogged down with just paperwork and files and all this other stuff. Just completely, how do we get completely paper? How do we get more efficient? How do we get more effective? That's what customers want. Customers want quick response, taken care of. You know, not 2 days to call me back. I made that post a few days ago. I was like, how long should you expect somebody to call you back or email you back? You should see those posts. They're interesting. So you got to be quick, got to be nimble, got to be willing to change. You need to understand money. Write that down. You need to understand money. First thing, let's talk about spiritual. Number one, in my opinion, you need to remember it's not yours. It was given to you. Need to understand that. I was talking to my son yesterday at the kitchen table. He wants to start investing. He's 14. I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you, but let's go over number one. Rule number one, it's not yours. It was given to you. You were blessed with it. That's my rule. That's my belief. You need to understand how money works in your organization, in your business plan. I'm not taking anything away from any accounting classes that you've been through. That's not what I'm saying. I talk to so many business owners today, they don't understand money. They don't understand their income statement. They don't understand their balance sheet. They don't understand cash versus accrual. They don't understand their margins. They don't understand how to build their income sheet so that they can read it easily because they're on to the next thing. Right? As business owners, we're on to the next thing. We're not going to sit around and review financial statements for 3 days. We're just not going to do it. So we need to be able to create systems and ratios where we can go into our correct statements, pull out the information that means something to us. We don't spend enough time doing that. One of the most important things to me that I have learned is you need to understand the correlation of when you bring on an expense, how much more you have to sell just to break even. And I think most people don't understand that because most people say, I'm going to bring on a new employee. They're going to be $60,000 a year, $5,000 a month. I got to add $60,000. Bless you. We got to add $60,000 to the top line. That's the wrong answer. That's actually not true. You're going to have to do well above that to pay or break even on that employee. So understanding money. And then we talked about this. You brought up another article. This is not even on a radar when you start a company. And it should be. Is exiting. Succession. Continuity. Business continuity. One question I spend a lot of time asking business owners is what's their greatest asset? You know what the two answers are I get? No. They're thinking of it differently. I believe that's true. Their 401k and their business in general. Their two greatest assets. Or if they have a big $2 million house, they might say $2 million. And I'm like, can we rethink that? Let me ask it one more time. What is your greatest asset? That's it. Your ability to get up and go in the office. Because if you're not in the office, nothing else is happening. Right? So they don't spend, entrepreneurs, we don't spend time wrapping our head around continuity, what happens, how do we keep this thing going, key employees, succession, and exit. Y'all know how many baby boomers are retiring a day? 10,000? 10,000 a day. In the financial service business right now, we're calling it the silver tsunami. Okay, so let's relate this back to business. You know how many of them have no exit plan, have no succession plan? A ton. I don't even know the number, but it's a lot. It's high. It's high. So, big deal. Exit, succession. You know? And I love it when I ask the question, well, what are you going to do? Almost sell it. How much are you going to sell it for? $3 million. I'm like, how'd you get that number? That's what I think it's worth. I'm like, how are you going to know you have a buyer? Well, somebody will want to buy it. I'm like, they just haven't thought it through. Don't want anything. And I'll tell you, and I'm going to move on because I could stay on the subject the whole time. I'm going to tell you the biggest reason for this that I've learned the last 5 years is they're so emotionally connected to the business. It's their life. Be careful of how emotionally attached you get to the business. I'm not talking about passion. We're talking about two different things. Because if you're emotionally connected to the business, it's probably going to cause you problems back later on in life. And I'll tell you this, I think, I don't have anything to prove this, there's no fact, but I believe Mark Zuckerberg, big company, doing really well, right? We all know that company, Facebook. I believe he's so emotionally connected to the business. That's his baby. That's why he stays in that position. And I know he wants to be a part, but I don't know if that's going to cause him a problem later. He's got more money. It probably won't cause him a problem. But that's the thing, is you have to be careful how emotionally attached you stay. Because if somebody comes in and says, hey, I like your business, will you take that? Yeah? So that's an analogy. Be careful with that. Okay, let me see what else I need to talk to you about. Oh, there are two verses I read every morning. I want to share them with you. And then I'll elaborate a little bit more on this. Ephesians 2:10. I would challenge you to go read these and relate them to opening a business, running a business, entrepreneurship. And Proverbs 3:5. The other one I don't read it all the time, is it's John the Baptist when he says, he must become greater, I must become less. It's chapter 3. What book is that? I know. Is it John 3? John. Okay. Yeah. Let me tell you the struggle I have with running a business. I believe probably most entrepreneurs do. We want to control everything. We want to control everything. We build a plan. We know we're going to execute it. We're optimistic. Nothing can stop us. And we don't submit. We don't stay in submission because we want to control. We want to execute. We want to do something new. And for me, 23 years, constant. It's like I'm bipolar. Right? I'm constantly ready to go. And I'm like, just sit tight. Pray about it. Relax. Open doors, closed doors. Where are we supposed to go? Let's go. Hard chargers. Sit back. I struggle with that all the time. True story. Last week in December, we sit down. We lay out all the marketing for the year, what we're going to do, events, all this stuff, just ready to go, launch. Coming to January, I'm like, what am I doing? That's what I want. That's what I think we should do. Just take a step back. Relax. That's a constant struggle with me, right? Because there are times when all of you start your business, you will feel invincible. You'll feel invincible. But you're not. Let me tell you something. He can take it away just as quick as he gave it to you. I've been there many times. And it's just like, I get it. Let's do it again. Let me try to be smarter. So I want to share that with you. All right, let me draw this for you. You're going to want to draw it, and then I'm going to take questions. Sound good? Okay, so I wish I created this. I did not. His name is Thomas Crane. He does speaking, coaching, does a lot of coaching. And I saw this many years ago, and it literally changed my life and the way I do business. And I'll show you, and then we'll talk about some application. But this top box, or circle, that's a circle, is beliefs, behaviors, relationships, results, and let's go around this together. When I ask you, what is a belief? By the way, this is probably my most favorite part of this class. I love sharing this, so I might get a little excited. So if I start woohooing and stuff, I'm just giving you a forewarning right now. Okay? Here we go. When I say the word beliefs, what does that mean to you? What do you think about? Worldview. Okay. You raise your hand. You're so appropriate raising your hand. You spit it out.
There's the starting point and where you make, from which you make all your decisions.
Okay. How we make decisions. Good. Starting point. What else? Values. Okay, good. How about interpretations? Would that fall? Assumptions? Okay. Are you ready? Where do they come from? No. Where do beliefs come from? How do we get them?
I think naturally they're pretty community-based. They come from what's important to us. We have to work to basically change that. As Christians, obviously that's through the Bible and through other things.
Okay. How else do you get a belief? Experience. You're taught. Did I spell that right? Okay. Right? Okay. When you put your hand on the stove the first time, did you know it was hot? No, you didn't. You had to experience that. Then what did you do? You learned and you created a belief. Belief, that's a little hot, that hurt really bad. Okay? All right. So we understand these, where they come from, how we get them. All right. What's a behavior? Actions. Yeah, this isn't hard. Not trying to make this hard.
It's a practical, personification of your beliefs.
Say that one more time.
It's like a practical or tangible personification of your beliefs.
Okay. How about a skill? We got action. How about a habit? Right? Behavior? All right. Does everybody agree that what we think determines what we do? We good? Everybody on the same page there? Okay, are y'all taking notes? Okay, because this is really good. I want you to take notes. All right. Relationship. When you see that word, what does it mean to you? Interact. How about connection? How about trust? Would they fit there? Okay. What we think determines what we do, and what we do influences relationships. All right. You start your business. This is a really good lesson. You start your business, you have an opportunity to sell a $100,000 deal to your company, right? If you believe $100,000 is a lot of money, do you believe that's going to affect the sale? Absolutely will. Every time. Every time. See how that works? So we're good with relationships. What's the result? Outcome. These three affect outcomes. Everybody following me? What happens if you get a good outcome? Sure. What happens when you get an outcome you didn't expect or want? It can affect, it could affect or impact our beliefs. You see, every day as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, what you are managing between here sets everything in motion. And I'm not just talking about the spiritual side, right? I'm talking about how you manage this. Changes everything in this circle. Everything. And I gave you one example. Sell $100,000 deals. You believe it's a lot of money. Not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's going to affect the way you sell. Is that good? Good. All right. I went longer than I was planning on it. Let's start taking questions. Thank you. Let's start taking some questions. Who's first? What do you have for me?
All right. In financial services, one of the biggest challenges is developing a pipeline for your client leads. So who did you target your services to in the beginning of your career, and where did you get your leads from?
Okay. So let me repeat the question. He's asking a question which I think is a prospecting question, right? Prospecting, generating new opportunities, generating leads. He's asking specifically to the financial service business. If I could, I'd love to just speak to the question generally. Good. So there are different prospecting channels. Everybody good with the word prospecting? Okay. So if they don't teach sales in the business degree, I'm wondering why. 'Cause this is important. Nothing against the school, I'm just saying this is important. Okay, prospecting channels. There you go. Okay, here we go. All right. Prospecting channels. There are different ways to prospect. You guys are going to be familiar with some of them. I would call this direct marketing. Mailers. Right? TV commercial. Billboard. Passive. Right? Another channel. Some people might start putting social media in here, but it's passive. Another one might be a little bit more active, like a trade show, or maybe you set up a table where your audience is going to be. Maybe it's a 5K run because your consumers are your audience. Okay, so maybe it's a trade show, or you set up a table, a little bit more active, right? Could you say, "Hey, can you put your name in the fishbowl?" throw in his basket, right? So you have a conversation with them, you get their name and number, right? A little bit old school, but it still works for a lot of people. Another one might be networking. So that's actually how we met. We met prior to this class. He was testing if I would remember. Networking, that's how I met Mr. Bucci. Through other people. Networking events. Structured networking. Chambers of commerce. Networking groups. I particularly like this channel because I'm a high relator. I love relationships. I love to be interacting with people. All right, so that's a channel. Another channel I would call strategic partners. This is really good. I could actually do a whole lesson just on this, okay? A strategic partner is someone who is, COI would be financial service acronym. Strategic partner is someone who is actively dealing with the customer you're trying to get in front of. For example, in my world, a CPA, a business attorney. Make sense? I want to find a core group of them that can refer me into businesses, their clients specifically, but this channel has to be reciprocal to work well. Can't take, got to give. And just another one, I'll give you one more. I call it quality introductions. This is where the attorney says, hey, I have a client, they have no succession plan, they're 6 years out, it's a family business closely held. Owen, meet us at lunch, I want to introduce you to him. Do you know why I make a pyramid? High close ratio, low close ratio. So then you begin to think about where do I spend my time? But guess what? These are all great, but unless you measure them, can't make them better. So I spend most of my time right there. That help?
Yeah.
Good. What else? Good question. Oh, let me add on. Sorry. I'm writing this word very slow because it's really important. I see it all the time. People do a lot of activity and then they do none. And they get into this sales cycle. They do a lot of activity and then none. A lot of activity and then none. This has to be constant, consistent behavior. All right, good question. Another question.
So I'm in the middle of entrepreneurship right now and love it. So everything you were saying I can relate to and know exactly what you're talking about. I feel it in every nerve here. So one of the things that you hit on the must-have was a supporting spouse. I'm not married.
Okay.
So one of the things I'm learning about entrepreneurship is it's super lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it gets really hard to manage that space between your ears, like you were saying. So for someone who's not married, and I'm not planning on getting married anytime soon, where do you get that support from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a couple things you probably know already is trying to find maybe a mentor. There are actually groups. There are fees. But there are groups that have boards. They call themselves boards or study groups. And the local ones, actually Tom Noon has one. It's called Catalyst Cohorts. There are national franchises that offer this. Vistage. C12 is actually the Christian-based group. Randy runs that out of Williamsburg and has a Southside one as well. The Alternative Board is another one. This could be the first step, or maybe they don't see themselves as a mentor. Maybe they see themselves as just being available to you. Because this is I'm speaking for myself. This is hard for me to wrap my head around. I don't see myself as a mentor. So when I get asked that question, I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I get together and give you experience, but I just have, that's me, I struggle with that word. Does this help? But yes, it is lonely. And then you're trying, there's big organizations like Entrepreneurial organization, and there's qualifications in here. You got to have size of company, certain amount of employees, depending on the type. This is international, national, local. Local. Maybe not local. So there are plenty of groups that understand that. Yeah. Good question. What else? Yes, sir.
How are you guys differentiating sales versus marketing in the online space right now? Because it kind of gets super similar.
Yeah. All right, give me an example. I'd be happy to do that for you. Give me an example of are we specifically talking about online?
More just with the social media is exploding at such a rate, it kind of becomes pseudo-direct marketing.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, you want to make sure you're doing sales and not marketing online.
Can we talk about a specific example, product, or service?
Let's just say retail, like clothing.
Retail clothing. Okay, I'm going to ask you to walk me through it because I don't know what's in your head.
I don't either.
Okay. All right. So what would be marketing? What are we trying to sell?
I guess you'd end up branding if you're marketing, so like a style of clothing or
Okay.
something that has your own logo.
Yeah, and listen, marketing is a big word, so there are probably going to be a lot of people that disagree with what I think it is, just so you know that. Okay, so branding, I would say absolutely is marketing. Okay, what else?
Product placement.
Okay. Product placement, I would absolutely say that would fit somewhere in marketing. Advertising. Okay, so here's where I would say the difference becomes to sales. Is how are you going to, when a consumer sees this, can you all see over there? Not really, you can't see through me. When a consumer sees this, how do we move it to an engagement of closing or selling? Is it with a person? Is it with a computer like Amazon? Amazon had to train us how to buy. That was a long, expensive process, but they're doing just fine. Okay? But I would say the sale is where we got to move them to a decision. To click, to sign, to say yes. That's where this really kicks in. Does that help? Yes, sir.
Okay. So based on your experiences, how important real estate and what was one of your
Okay, there was a couple questions. The first question was, what was my decision? Can you read it one more time?
Yeah. How important was real estate in terms of like your investment in startups and stuff like that?
Okay, so you give me one question now. That's fine.
Yeah, I can do that.
No, that's good. So in my experience, when you start a business, you don't have the capital to buy real estate. I made a lot of mistakes with real estate. But let's just stay on the business side. Okay? You're not talking about investments. We're talking about the business, right? Okay. So one thing I learned was signing long leases. Why is that such a hindrance? Why could that be such a hindrance today? We talked about this earlier with the way the market moves and business moves.
I mean, if you have to pivot or something, then
You're locked, right? Business moves quick. You got to be able to move quick. So first of all, it's just capital. I believe that's the answer to your question. But the businesses we had, now what happened, let me take you back to 99. Y'all remember that year? Were any of y'all born? I was telling you the story. Okay. All right, so I was telling you the story. Remember the story I was telling you about 99? Okay. What happened in 99 or 2000 was I left. I resigned That company went on to do $52 million. So he had the capital to buy warehousing, logistics, real estate, right? But it was all this. We were leasing for years, right? Today, I do look at real estate different. So today, and it's actually funny you ask, on the way here, I saw a sign over on Battlefield Boulevard. I called the guy. He called me while I was having breakfast. I got some information, right? So in this business, online stuff, that other business, that can be done anywhere in the world. Beautiful business. But financial service, you need a presence, right? So now we're looking at real estate a little different, right? Is what do we need? What do we want? But location. Do you know why location for me? Because this is specific to me. It's not a general question. Location is because I want signage. I just want imprints when cars go by, right? So I'd rather buy a piece of property to put an office in that I can get signage and imprints rather than doing billboards and things like that. Now, advertising in my industry works really different because it's a high trust. People are not going to call me because I'm on a billboard. So I'm thinking about real estate different, but this is many years later. But I think this is the real answer to your question. You got to have capital. But owner-occupied, right? Buying a piece of real estate, if you can support it and leasing out, wonderful business. We just never got there. We haven't had that opportunity yet. Good? Okay. What other questions? Good questions. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question concerning your faith and how it has impacted your entrepreneurial success.
Okay.
Nice to be kind of a larger testimony. So maybe 3 words to describe how your faith has impacted your entrepreneurship.
Yeah, great question. So her question is, how has my faith been impacted with my experiences in entrepreneurship? What I learned was, for me, I didn't learn until I looked back. It's hard for me to see during those times because it's just, there's a lot going on in your head, emotion, seeking that. And I'm speaking for myself, so I don't know if I can sum up in 3 words. I'm going to do my best to sum this up. I journaled. That was awesome because I just dumped. And then I would go back a year, 2, 3 years later, and I'm like, holy mackerel, how did that happen? That's not humanly possible. So that was important. I don't know why I journaled. Maybe one of my bumper buddies told me to. I can't remember. But I journaled. I would only take 1 day at a time. It was so emotionally difficult for that transition for me that I could just get up and I could handle 1 day at a time. That was it. I was like, I'm going to do my best today. These are the meetings I have. I'm going to be 150%. I'm not even thinking about tonight. I'm definitely not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about next month. And I'm not thinking about next year because then I would just get completely overwhelmed. And I just got quiet. That was hard for me to do because I'm not a quiet guy. I just listened. I just tried to listen. That's a great question. That's the best answer I have. Okay. You're welcome. Great questions. What else? What other questions? I asked you to write these questions down before we started today.
So I also am working in the financial services industry. I work for an IMO. In that area, you have the opportunity to grow a business with a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm learning that it's incredibly hard to not only lead a team while leading yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but second of all, finding those people, because your team will only do a percentage of what you're willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, I don't know if it's the same in New York Life, I'm kind of familiar with how you guys work, but I also don't know specifically what you do, but how do you find these people? Because I spend a lot of time interviewing and money recruiting,
Yeah.
and have like 3 people who aren't doing it.
Okay, so the answer for me is super simple. Took me a long time to learn this answer. Ready? Write this down. Always be looking. What do you think I mean by that? Yes, ma'am.
Even if you don't necessarily have an opening in your business, it's always good to keep your eye out, open for new people that you might want to recruit later.
Always be looking. I'm looking right now. Always. Be conscious of who's in your space, how they act, how they communicate. Always. You gotta put that antenna up as an entrepreneur. You're always looking. True story. When we got to the point when we were ready to start bringing more people on, because we peeled back when we went online with the sales training, because we didn't need overhead, we didn't need staff to deliver, things like that. So we pulled back, and then we started hiring a few years later. And there's other ways you can do it. This is the answer to your question, right? And then you can get into assessments and all this other stuff, right? We use assessments. We've used assessments for many years where you can assess people's behaviors, competencies, how they interact, stuff like that. So we went through a hiring process a few months ago, like 250 applications, because the people I had been looking over those last few years weren't available, right? But we still have a place on the team for those people. I don't know where yet, but we still got a place. So we went through the process, and some final candidates came through, and this lady did her assessment, and it came back to me. I called her back at 8:30 on Friday, and I'm like, can you talk in the morning? Are you available to talk in the morning? Her competencies were so high that when I talked on the phone, I'm like, hey, is there any, I called her the next morning, I was like, good 10 minutes, pre-call, pre-interview, can you come and see me Monday morning, first thing? So she came in, she's like, well, what's going on? Why the hurry? Because she's very process-driven. I'm like, I'm just going to be transparent with you. I don't know if you fit in this position, but we're going to find a position for you. I said, do you want to be part of the team? And we went through our process, right? I mean, it wasn't, but that's pretty much the meeting. I was like, I'm looking, and I don't know why any of your organizations haven't noticed these things, but we want you here. We're going to find a place to put you. And we took that risk, and it's worked out perfectly. But the key to your answer is that, and you don't get there unless you're constantly cognizant, being aware, awareness of everybody, what's going on, conversations you're having. It's always got to be looking. Yes, sir?
Biggest mistake.
Oh, biggest mistake. Oh, man, I've had so many. Oh, man. Oof. Give me a second. I'm processing the question because there's so many mistakes. I made a mistake yesterday. Made a big mistake yesterday. I would say being in my wilderness so long, trying to run my own organization, doing my own thing, I would say that was my mistake. But I know that was the plan because I had to get groomed in all that to get to the point for me to move to the next point. So humanly, I would say that was my biggest mistake. But I've made so many mistakes. Millions of dollars worth of mistakes. But that's how you learn. That's how you learn. So I love making mistakes because I won't make it again. That's kind of our culture around the office. Like, what do we do wrong? How can we improve it? And how do we make sure we don't ever do it again? Great learning opportunity, yes.
What were the biggest signs? Because you mentioned burning out early 2000-ish when you were switching over, you were in Hong Kong. Like, what are the quicker signs to make sure you're not burning yourself out?
So two things. 2000 was really kind of balance, right? Where I was in life. I was like, I shouldn't be sitting in China and not home with my family at Christmas. So that was kind of a like, you need to change something. I don't know that was burnout. Burnout was definitely 07 through 10, 11, even into 14, 15, not being fulfilled. That's the first thing that just came to my mind. Constantly wanting more, constantly wanting to improve, constantly wanting to get to certain things and not knowing why. I would say that too, not knowing my why. You know what my why is now? I'm 45, I'm going to be 46 this year. I finally figured out my why. It's a new why. I want to make a ton of money. But you know why? Because I want to give it away. I want to give it away. Sorry. Phew. Good stuff. Okay. Let's talk about what y'all are taking away. How about that? That's a good segue. How about that? All right. I hope that all of you have at least one thing you're taking away from today. You got something? So this would be your aha, your light bulb, your, I'm going to take that out of here tomorrow, start applying it. Who's going to be first?
I absolutely love what you said about the most important management project you have is between your 2 years.
Yeah.
That's, I don't think I'll forget that. That's so important. I love it.
Good. Yes, sir.
A day in the life of an entrepreneur includes fear, an emotional roller coaster, a lot of tired exhaustion, and grit. And you have to be willing to accept that if being an entrepreneur is something.
Good. It's not always like that. And it becomes roller coasters, but yeah, it's not always like that. Good. Couple others. Yeah. If you don't think you're in the people business, and whatever you do, we're in the people business. Whatever we do, we're in the people business. We got to understand how to communicate to people. What else? Oh, man, yeah. Can I just put that up here? Good. Some more takeaways. Yes, ma'am.
Not be afraid of failure because it can also lead you to open doors.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on. Write it down.
For me, the sales pyramid was just a really practical visual of it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to put prospecting. Okay, so prospecting in my world is different from selling.
Sure.
Okay.
It's kind of stuck between sales experience and the pyramid.
Okay.
It's something like sales experience is definitely something I'm not lacking in.
Go get it. Go get it. Go read it. Go do it. It's vital. Sales is the lifeblood of any business. Any business. It's the lifeblood. It doesn't exist unless you can sell. Some more? A couple more? Yes, ma'am.
Avoid becoming emotionally attached.
Yeah, you just got a show on that one, didn't you? I'm not emotionally attached to business. I'm emotional about the business and my why. Yeah.
Going along
Yeah, yeah, good. Exit. How about a couple more, and we'll wrap it up.
Knowing your why and having it be clear helps you get through things.
Man, everything comes into focus. It's the craziest experience I've ever had. So you see Simon Sinek talking about understanding the why. If y'all haven't seen his stuff, he's been doing it for years. It's really good. I'm not talking about taking anything away from him. But to get to your why you do what you do, why you exist, that's why I lead with, I want to make a lot of money. And then people automatically put, oh, great, one of those guys. But I know why I want to make a lot of money. Big deal. Big, and it just, everything comes into focus. One more?
Get quiet.
Get quiet. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, man. Get quiet. All right. So I think I gave you all my information. So you are welcome to contact me. You're welcome to reach out to me if you think there's anything I can do for you, help you. I'd be happy to do that. Sound good? Thank you for letting me come in. Thanks for inviting me in.